She said, Aunt Carmen, come quick. It's coming again. It's happening again.
The covers would be pulling off the bed. There would be voices, a lot of scratching on the walls.
I felt this strange sensation coming over my body. It started at my feet and started climbing up through my body.
And I was so terrified, I couldn't move. It was the most crippling thing I've ever been through in my life.
No Catholic priest within like 100 miles of this place.
It's 1986. The Snedeker family moves to a modest house in Southington, Connecticut, hoping it will offer a fresh start.
You moved into this house in the first place because your son Stephen was in the middle of receiving treatments for cancer.
This place, they hope, will offer comfort and a sense of normalcy in the midst of their struggles. But what they don't realize is that this home holds a dark secret. Unknown to the family, the property had previously served as a funeral home.
Carmen was not aware that she actually rented a funeral home.
I didn't know it was a funeral home. When I came in the first time, the downstairs was full of workmen and woodworking things, of lumber and hammering things going on.
Hidden within the basement, they find eerie remnants of its past. Embalming tables, mortuary tools, and traces of a history steeped in death. Philip and his brother are set up in bedrooms in that very basement. A decision that soon leads to unsettling consequences.
I was holding the rosary in my hand, and it was like something was, trying to open my hand up.
Soon, strange events begin to unfold. Philip is the first to experience disturbing visions, shadowy figures lurking in corners, and eerie voices echoing through the halls. His behavior changes drastically, becoming withdrawn and aggressive, as though an unseen force is starting to take hold of him. Before long, the terror spreads to the entire family.
And I always slept in my undercloak, my bra and stuff went out the bed. And it would be being tugged down, and you'd pull it back up, and usually, when you're laying on that side, that just doesn't happen. And
objects move without explanation. Strange whispers fill the air, and doors slam shut with no one nearby.
Stephen came to me the day we moved into the house, and he said, we have to leave here immediately. The house is evil. It's really evil. Something bad's going to happen if we stay.
Carmen, Philip's mother, often reports feeling unseen hands gripping her clothes, a terrifying indication that this is no ordinary haunting. As the days pass, the family's fear intensifies. Shadows move in empty rooms, lights flicker unpredictably, and a pungent odor seems to linger, as if reminding them of the house's dark history.
The Snedekers tried to get help from their neighbors and even the police, but no one seemed to listen.
Philip's condition grows worse, and at times he speaks in a voice that sounds foreign to his own. Carmen becomes haunted by the realization that the home's history as a funeral parlor might be at the root of this dark presence, as though the spirits of those mishandled there have left an imprint. With tension escalating, the family realizes they need expert help, someone who understands the darkness that has overtaken their home. Desperate for help, the Snedekers contact renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren.
I called some people called the Warrens. Someone at work had told me that she believed the things my children were telling me was true, and she gave me their number to call and make an appointment.
Lorraine senses an overwhelming dark presence within the house, one she believes is tied to the spirits disturbed by the home's past.
I had a feeling of fear and like that I probably was picking up from the boy who had experienced what he had in that room, which was his bedroom. Carmen was not aware that she actually rented a funeral home. She was not aware of that.
She warns the family that they're dealing with something truly malevolent. The Warrens perform blessings and prayers, hoping to cleanse the house of its dark energy. For a brief period, there's a sense of relief, as though the rituals have pacified whatever forces lurk within the home. However, this calm proves to be short-lived. According to the Snedekers, the paranormal occurrences escalate soon after, becoming more violent and unpredictable. Doors now slam with furious force, shadowy figures appear more frequently, and Philip's condition deteriorates even further. Carmen describes nights filled with terrifying encounters, waking up to the sounds of footsteps approaching her room, only to find no one there. Her sense of safety crumbles entirely as the feeling of being watched becomes constant, and objects begin moving with an aggression that leaves the family fearing for their safety. In a final, desperate attempt to rid their home of the dark presence, the Snedekers invite additional clergy to conduct blessings, praying that repeated rituals might bring them peace. Yet instead of abating, the presence in the house seems to push back with even greater force.
It had several voices. Sometimes it would take on the voice of one of the children to come into the room, and you turn and there would be this dark presence of a smoke figure just standing there laughing at you.
By this point, the entire family is emotionally and physically drained. Experiencing symptoms of insomnia, fear, and isolation, they've become prisoners in their own home, unable to rest and afraid to stay. After nearly 2 years of relentless activity, the family comes to a heartbreaking realization. Despite their desire for stability and comfort, this house will never be their sanctuary.
Every time we did leave the house, it would follow us. I'd go to work, and the computer system would go down, or the phone system would go down. My husband went to work. His car, he parked and went inside the building. As he did, the car started back up and drove into the building.
Through our investigation, necrophilia, or abuse of corpses, had occurred in that home. Not necessarily by the undertaker, it could be anybody that went in there.
Ultimately, they decide to leave, abandoning the hope they once had for peace in this home. But even after they move out, the memories of their terrifying ordeal stay with them, leaving a lasting imprint on each member of the family.
While we were investigating this story, we came across some people who live in the Snedekers' old neighborhood. And they say they have some serious doubts about the Snedekers' story. In fact, they say the Snedekers are making the whole thing up.
But the sheer fact that this family, in their hearts and in their minds, believe that this happened has to be overwhelming.
As chilling as the Snedeker family's tale may be, it's far from the only real-life haunting that has inspired a horror movie. Just across the Atlantic in 1991, another terrifying story unfolded in Spain, gripping the nation and leaving paranormal investigators with more questions than answers.
My daughter has been possessed.
Since the death of the grandfather and the girl, 2 possible spirits go in and out through the bathroom of what used to be Estefania's room.
It's 1991 in Madrid, Spain. The Gutierrez family, a close-knit group, has recently suffered a deep loss with the passing of their grandfather. In the midst of grief, they search for closure. For 15-year-old Estefania, this grief stirs a darker curiosity, an interest in the paranormal, a fascination that will bring terrifying consequences.
This girl begins to speak languages she had never spoken before. This girl, besides that, starts to levitate. She jumps from bed to bed like she's Spider-Man.
In the Gutierrez family home, the presence of spirit has been manifesting since the grandfather died and expressed his last wish to make life impossible for the family from beyond the grave.
Estefania's curiosity is natural for a teenager, but this is more than a passing interest. She believes that by reaching out, she might connect with her grandfather on the other side. With this hope, she and her friends decide to try something dangerous. A seance with a Ouija board, performed secretly in their school bathroom. What starts as a game quickly turns sinister. During the seance, one of the girls sees a shadowy figure in the room. Suddenly, the planchette moves erratically. The board splinters apart. Estefania's friends recall her face contorting in fear as she falls into a trance-like state. From that day on, her life and the lives of her family members would never be the same.
Also, strange noises are heard in the home. Appliances turn on by themselves. A human silhouette occasionally appears and a kind of ball passes through the long hallway.
After the seance, Estefania begins to experience disturbing symptoms. She describes seeing shadowy figures, often standing at the end of her bed watching her. These figures follow her, lurking around her room at night. Her behavior changes dramatically. She becomes withdrawn, often appearing dazed and frightened. The family grows increasingly worried, especially as her physical health starts to decline, with no clear medical explanation.
The group of parapsychologists Zero Unit is investigating the case, and they have obtained some EVP recordings like this one. I think there are 2 energies, one from the girl, which I ultimately see as good, peaceful, and another energy that supposedly might be from the grandfather. And I see it as quite negative, quite insulting, and quite
But
threatening.
the haunting doesn't stay confined to Estefania alone. Strange occurrences spread throughout the Gutierrez home. Doors slam shut without warning. Unexplained knocking sounds echo through the halls, and shadowy figures dart around corners. Estefania's siblings report hearing whispers at night, and her mother, Concepcion, begins to feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as if something dark has taken root in their home. As the haunting escalates, the family reaches a breaking point. One night, Concepcion contacts the police, desperate for help. When officers arrive, they find the family shaken and terrified. The official police report details eerie, unexplained events, doors moving on their own, strange stains appearing on furniture, and an intense cold in certain rooms. One officer even claims to feel an invisible force, as if something was watching or physically touching them.
We were at the house and witnessed the moment when the medium goes into a trance and is supposedly possessed by the spirits. And it is this negative energy from the grandfather that, according to the clairvoyant Lola, occupies her body when she goes into a trance to communicate with the girl.
Come back, come back, come back, come back.
Wait for me!
Goodbye.
Despite police intervention, Estefania's condition only worsens. Her seizures and violent fits grow more frequent, leaving her family helpless as they watch her suffer. Tragically, she passes away suddenly at the age of 15, leaving the family devastated. They're left to wonder, did their daughter fall victim to something beyond their control? After Estefania's death, the strange occurrences did not cease. Instead, the paranormal activity seemed to intensify. The Gutierrez family reports seeing shadowy figures, hearing unexplainable bangs and whispers, and feeling an oppressive, dark presence in the home.
The grandfather had disagreements with Concepcion, his daughter, over financial matters.
In one particularly chilling incident, they claim a photo of Estefania spontaneously caught fire, leaving only her face burned away, as if she were reaching out from beyond. In a last desperate attempt, the family contacts the police again. The new police report notes strange sounds, temperature drops, and a dark, heavy atmosphere throughout the home. One officer reports seeing a brown substance mysteriously leaking from the walls. Ultimately, the family moves away, leaving behind their home and the haunting memories that linger. Was Estefania's tragic fate tied to something supernatural? Or could the events be attributed to grief and psychological strain? No one can say for certain.